Hi, everyone. My name is April Rassa. I head up product marketing here at HackerOne. As way of background, HackerOne is a cybersecurity company. We are a marketplace that connects ethical hackers with global organizations and help hack their systems for good. So, with that, I thought what I could do is spend some time today talking about how we as product marketers can help our sales counterparts be more effective when it comes down to preparation in the sales cycle. And depending on your organization and how it's set up, you may either have a sales enablement function within the company or your team, your product marketing team may be on point for that. But when we think about the field of sales enablement, it's really predicated on providing salespeople with what they need to engage with their target buyers. And as such, it's important to provide sales with the resources that the buyer actually needs. What sales enablement provides to salespeople is a critical part of really defining your program. And what you usually need to know is there's probably two forms of information or two categories that you think about. So one is content that sales will provide to the buyer, and the second is really best practices, research, and tools that your sales team will actually consume internally to make them more productive as they speak with the relevant target customers. So, with that said, that's a launching off point for our discussion today in terms of how we want to talk about really enabling and activating your sales teams to be more productive for that big product launch as you think about it. With that, it's important to level set a little bit as far as what is happening in the marketplace today. With the internet, social media, mobile, buyers have just new ways to research their purchases, educate themselves on options in the marketplace, and really buy products and services, right? And as you can see here, according to Forrester research, 90% of the buyer's journey may be complete before a prospect actually reaches out to a salesperson. That's pretty daunting if you're a salesperson and if you're a marketing professional that's looking to enable your sales team. And on top of that, what we know is that 89% of those prospective buyers actually start their research via search. So it's really imperative as you think about your content strategy, as you think about how you can actually attract those keywords and really attract those prospective buyers when you're thinking about your product launch. What's also interesting is that the buyer journey isn't linear anymore. The rational sort of linear set of steps is no longer when you think about the buyer journey. The reality is that most buyers are really not clear about how to get from the problem to the solution. And the buyer journey is really more of a maze, as you can see here, than sort of a linear path. And what this may suggest is that customers are searching for information. It's pretty clear here that the need is that they want context to be specific. And more importantly, they're pretty agnostic as to the source of that information and where it's coming from. It could be from a salesperson, it could be from the website, it could be from a referral. It doesn't matter, but they're looking for that content and that specific information. And what we know from a recent LinkedIn survey that was done, there are four important factors when you think about the buyer's willingness to actually engage with a vendor that's going to help you as a product marketing professional really think about that journey and what that means when you're putting together your product launch strategy and enablement strategy. So the first is, does the vendor actually understand my company's business model? Is there, thought leadership and expert in terms of the subject matter that I'm interested in? Does the company or the salesperson actually provide valuable educational content and consultation and or tools throughout that process? And lastly, and probably the most important, like, do they know my company's products and services? Do they understand what we're challenged with? These are all pretty key as you think about the buyer's journey and navigating that when you're enabling your customer facing teams, as well as making sure that you have the right content and the right information out there to map to that prospect. So let's dive in. The 10 ways to activate your sales team for that big launch. The first I'm going to kick it off with is Get cross-functional buy-in, first of all. Gain that sales, marketing, product buy-in as you start to define and document your product launch strategy and implementation plan. It's really critical that you get the right stakeholders in the room to buy off on what you're proposing and how you're proposing to execute on that. Number two is don't create campaigns in a vacuum. Connect marketing campaigns with what salespeople need to do and say. And the best way to do that is to make sure that you're really not creating just a lot of fluff content that doesn't really resonate with the buyer and the pain points that they're going after, and making sure that your sales team knows and understands the language and the messaging that's being used so that they can replicate that in the sales process as well. Gain clarity, right, on the target personas. You got to educate. I mean, it goes without saying, but you have to educate your sales teams on the needs and the wants of the target personas. They may be different than what your sales teams may have been selling to. What are the primary personas and targets that we're going after? Where do they hang out? What are they worried about? What are the biggest challenges? How do we actually resonate with them in a way that's authentic rather than pretty generic? So be very specific as far as what would resonate to those target personas. Who are the secondary personas? Are there influencers in that buying process? What do the sales team need to know? How do they navigate through those? You need to really be clear on the key primary and secondary personas that would be relevant in that sales process. The fourth is clearly define why customers need the new product, right? I mean, what are the alternatives in the marketplace? Why does this product stand out? What is it that your product is doing that's different, that is differentiated in the marketplace? And how does it address the pain points of the target personas and buyers that you're actually going after? You want to create a playbook that provides practical guidance for your sales reps. They need to know, what do they have to say? What are their, how do we show the new product? It doesn't help to just focus the training on feature sets, right? Focusing on what the product does versus how to actually sell it. You need to connect the two. And a lot of times product marketings miss on that point where they do one or the other. How to package the sales and customer validated content that you're creating in a way that's friendly to the sales rep so that they're tightly connected with the new product and the new campaigns that are actually going to be hitting the marketplace. So it's key to do that. A lot of times, what I've seen and in past experience as well is on the product marketing side, we have maybe a new product and we really focus on the new feature functionalities and really enable our system engineers or sales engineers or sales folks to really understand those without really going deeper into the key market trends and how you're actually uprooting and changing new things in a way that's going to really resonate with the buyer. Number six is get your sales teams involved in actually validating some of the tools and content that you're putting out in the marketplace. Having product marketing really focus on, what are the key areas that we're focused on? What are the messaging? What are the pieces that we're putting together? And making sure, not necessarily you're not getting approval, you just want to make sure you're getting the sales team involved in validating some of that content that you're putting out. This builds a lot of credibility throughout the process, and it really helps nurture and establish that relationship with your sales team. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are going to be delivering that content. So, is it authentic? Is it empathetic? Is it making sure that it's resonating with the way that they are actually targeting some of those prospective buyers that you're going after when you're launching your new product message? You're going to be the expert in knowing the message, but they're going to be delivering it. So, you want to make sure that there is a little bit of a give and take as you start to pull some of that content and some of the tools together. And then, are the tools actually going to be something that they're going to use? A lot of times, marketing goes off and creates a bunch of tools, and then sales is not even going to use it, or it might not be relevant. I think I read a stat somewhere that 90% of new content that's actually created is irrelevant in the sales process. You want to avoid that, obviously, goes without saying. Number seven, road test the new product message with your customers. You've got some early customers, maybe some beta customers. You want to make sure you test your product message with those customers and get some early feedback as far as what is landing and maybe what is not landing. What are some of the keywords that are kind of resonating or buzzwords that are resonating when you're pitching the product and talking about the new product features and capabilities. Lastly, on number 8, you want to balance training of new product features and sales conversations. Look, the reality is feature capabilities don't win deals, right? The most important need for sales is understanding where does this new product fit into the marketplace? What are the new trends? How does it solve a buyer's common challenges? And what types of conversations will resonate most? How do I know that what we're providing is going to have an edge, in the marketplace? Those are key. What are maybe the top 3 competitors? What would they be saying in lieu of this new product announcement? So really do your homework and make sure that you're kind of enabling your teams to be successful, because once they lose confidence, it's going to be really hard to get them back to understanding the nuances of the product and the messaging once you launch. Number 9, capture new product sales successes early on and share those insights to build the sales confidence. So, what I like to think about is, develop, much like a product and engineering, a 90-day sprint to challenge the sales team with a set of milestones or activities that will lead to a robust timeline and a pipeline, excuse me, for the new products. Celebrate early wins, identify those key salespeople that are having those early successes, and celebrate them. Then package what they're doing so that they can do it for the rest of the team, right? So the rest of the team is sort of train the trainers sort of mentality. Number 10, embrace that continuous learning. Continue to have regular monthly feedback loops with your cross functional stakeholders that you started with to review, do that win loss analysis. Where are we winning? Where are we losing? Why are we losing? What is the product revenue and the KPIs looking like? What is the customer feedback looking like? How does that actually help us iterate as we think about changing maybe new things? As we start to think about our go to market motions. So, hopefully, this was helpful in capturing ways that you can start to activate your sales team for that launch. Start planning early, define your goals and objectives, involve the key stakeholders cross functionally, review the customer feedback, and iterate often. So I hope that was helpful. I thank you for your time. You can reach me on Twitter and LinkedIn here if you have any specific questions. But again, thanks again for your time. Take care.